serving the Republic of the Philippines for more than 75 years. Ito po ang Presidential Broadcast Service.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day. This is Dateline Malacañang. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Monday personally checked on the situation of Bulaqueños affected by recent typhoons as he joined different national government agencies in extending various assistance in the province of Bulacan. The southwest monsoon, enhanced by typhoons Egay and Falcon, has left most parts of the province in floodwaters due to the significant amount of rain, affecting around 170,482 families in over 178 villages as of the latest data from the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or NDRRMC. During the program, the President turned over various assistance from the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, including food packs and monetary support for its assistance to individuals in crisis situation, or AICS beneficiaries. The Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE, with monetary support for its Tulong Panghanap Buhay sa Ating Disadvantaged, Displaced Workers, or TUPAD program beneficiaries, and checks for 7 municipalities under the DOLE Integrated Livelihood Program, or DILP. The Department of Agriculture, or DA, also awarded a certificate for provisions of bags of certified rice seeds, bags of hybrid yellow corn, and assorted vegetable seeds for farmer beneficiaries, and the Department of Trade and Industry, or DTI, with claim stubs for beneficiaries of its Pangkabuhayan sa Pagbangon at Ginhawa program, and checks for its Small Business Corporation beneficiaries.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Monday led the distribution of various government aid to the flood-affected towns in Pampanga Province at the Brenz Z. Giao Convention Center in San Fernando City. These include food packs and 10,000 pesos cash assistance from the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, intended for 1,000 beneficiaries of the Assistance to Individuals in Crisis Situation, or AICS program. Likewise, the Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE, distributed 2.3 million pesos worth of aid to 500 beneficiaries under the Tulong Panghanap Buhay sa Ating Disadvantaged, Displaced Workers, or TUPAD program. DOLE has allotted and set aside a total of 65 million pesos for its 14,000 beneficiaries and has already transferred 30 million pesos to its Pampanga Regional Office for the TUPAD program. Moreover, DOLE awarded 6.4 million pesos worth of livelihood assistance under its DOLE Integrated Livelihood Program, or DILP, to the local government units, or LGUs, of Candaba, Macabebe, Masantol, Arayat, Porac, and Santa Ana. Meanwhile, the Department of Agriculture, or DA, awarded a certificate worth over 21.6 million pesos to the province of Pampanga. This certificate includes 13,354 bags of certified seeds valued at 20.2 million pesos to 8,723 farmer beneficiaries, 186 bags of hybrid yellow corn, and 15 bags of open pollinated variety worth 1.146 million pesos to 154 farmer beneficiaries, and assorted vegetable seeds worth 230,000 pesos for 162 farmer beneficiaries.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. on Sunday evening hosted the second installment of the Concierto sa Palacio or KSP that honored Filipino athletes. Entitled Concierto sa Palacio para sa Atletang Pilipino, or in English, Concert at the Palace for the Filipino Athlete, the concert series showcases the talents of emerging performing artists while recognizing the contributions of different sectors. President Marcos, accompanied by First Lady Liza Marcos and their son, Ilocos Norte Representative Sandro Marcos, were there to witness the concert along with 300 Filipino athletes of various sports at the Malacañang grounds. Boxing icon and former Senator Manny Pacquiao was seated right beside the president, while some cabinet officials were also present during the concert, including Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin. Among the artists who performed during the second KSP were vocalist Chloe Redondo, Eman Bunyao, Jopper Rill, and Kevin Traqueña, beatbox artist Adrian Adbeat Ferrer, and Neil Ray Llanes. The Voice France Season 8 four-chair turner Evan Mendoza, champion a cappella group Pinopella from Baguio City, and dance group Douglas Nieras Power Dance also delivered performances during the event. The KSP is a project of the Office of the President, Presidential Communications Office, and Radio Television Malacañang. It started April this year, with the first installment dubbed Awit ng Magiting and was dedicated to Filipino soldiers.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine government will begin rolling out next month its Lifeline Rate program that will aid low-income households pay their electricity bills. The program is a subsidized rate given to qualified low-income electricity customers who could not pay their electricity bills at full cost. Beneficiaries of the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino program, or 4Ps, or those living below the poverty threshold set by the Philippine Statistics Authority, or PSA, can apply for the program. Only one distribution utility, or DU, electric cooperative, or EC service per qualified household, however, can be granted a lifeline rate. Only one application for each household will be granted with the lifeline rate. To apply for the program, beneficiaries should submit to the DU and EC their duly accomplished lifeline rate application forms, most recent electricity bills, and any valid government-issued identification cards with the signature and address of the applicant. If the customer is living below the poverty threshold set by the PSA, the applicant must submit a certification from the local Social Welfare and Development Office, or SWDO, issued within the last 6 months, showing that the family income is below the poverty threshold applicable at the time of application. The rollout of the program has been moved to September to allow qualified customers more time to register. Data from the Energy Regulatory Commission showed that as of July 31st this year, there are only 12,829 household beneficiaries of 4Ps, out of the 4.2 million household members who have applied for the Lifeline Rate Program. The Lifeline Rate Program validity is based on the annual certified list of 4Ps beneficiaries provided by the DSWD. A qualified customer is eligible to receive the Lifeline rate if he or she remains on the updated list. If delisted, the customer may opt to apply for a local SWDO certification if he or she is living below the poverty line and may reapply for Lifeline rate. For non-4Ps beneficiaries, Lifeline rate will have a 3-year validity from the date of issuance of certification by the local SWDO. The power reduction rate varies depending on the prevailing rates of the DUs or ECs. In the Manila Electric Company or Meralco franchise area, Lifeline end users with 0 to 20 kilowatt hours of monthly consumption will be granted a 100% discount on the generation charges, including system loss, transmission, and distribution components of their bill, except for the fixed metering charge of 5 pesos, which means more or less only 20 pesos from their electric bills will be paid. If they do not avail of the Lifeline rate through Meralco, they will have to pay more or less 250 pesos. Under the program, customers who use 21 to 50 kilowatt hours will only pay more or less 300 pesos, while those with a 51 to 70 kilowatt hour consumption bracket will shell out around 522 pesos and 90 centavos. Those consuming 71 to 100 kilowatt hours, meanwhile, will only pay 904 pesos and 21 centavos instead of the undiscounted rate of 1,099 pesos and 10 centavos if they do not apply for the Lifeline rate.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippines Office of the Presidential Advisor on Peace, Reconciliation, and Unity, or OPAPRU, over the weekend said that the Marcos administration is fully committed to the Bangsamoro peace process. In a news forum in Quezon City, OPAPRU Director Wendell Orbeso said that the President promised to fulfill all his commitments in the Bangsamoro peace process under his administration. After the approval of the Bangsamoro Electoral Code in March, the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, or BARM, will elect its officials in 2025. Orbeso expressed optimism that an exit agreement would be signed by 2025 once all commitments are fulfilled. Meanwhile, the decommissioning of about 40,000 Moro Islamic Liberation Front or MILF combatants by 2025 is still on track. Decommissioning is a key dimension of the Annex on Normalization under the Comprehensive Agreement on the Bangsamoro or CAB signed between the Philippine government and the MILF in 2014. Orbeso said the fourth phase is targeted to start by the last quarter of 2023. The third phase will conclude on August 10th with the decommissioning of 1,301 fighters, raising the overall number of decommissioned combatants to 26,145 since 2021. On top of decommissioning, the normalization process includes the disbandment of private armed groups, amnesty, policing, socio-economic support for former combatants, transitional justice and reconciliation, redeployment of the armed forces of the Philippines, and addressing issues of unexploded ordnance and landmines. Orbeso said the government continues to address challenges facing the peace process, including the need for socio-economic support to keep up with the pace of the decommissioning. Through the Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, the government provides each decommissioned fighter with 100,000 pesos in cash assistance.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has appointed veteran journalist and book author Renato Rene Acosta as the new head of the National Printing Office, or NPO, an attached agency of the Presidential Communications Office, or PCO. Acosta's designation as the new director of the government's official printing arm was announced Saturday by the Office of Press Secretary Cheloy Velicaria Garafil. He will replace Carlos Bathan. Acosta is a fellow of the East-West Center in Washington, D.C., or EWCW, and an alumnus of the U.S. State Department's premier professional exchange program, International Visitor Leadership Program. As a Philippine-based journalist, Acosta contributed stories and analysis on domestic and regional issues for renowned international think tanks, such as the Washington, D.C.-based Center for Strategic and International Studies and Oxford Analytica in the United Kingdom. He had also written and edited stories for the online portal of the U.S. Pacific Command's Asia-Pacific Defense Forum, now called the Indo-Pacific Forum, and the United States Naval Research Institute News. Penguin Random House has published and launched in Singapore his book, The War on Terror, How the Philippine Military and the U.S. Broke the Axis of Terror in the Philippines, and was the featured author in 2019 by the Singapore Writers' Festival, considered as one of Asia's premier literary events. The journalist and book author delivered lectures on the three themes during the 10-day literary feast sponsored by the Singapore Arts Council. Until his appointment, Acosta was a reporter for Business Mirror, which he joined in its founding in 2005, and where he had been covering defense and national security issues during the past years. A former president of the Defense Press Corps of the Philippines, Acosta began his journalism career at the state-owned Philippine News Agency, or PNA, in 1989 while still a journalism student. He later rose from the ranks. In his junior years as a reporter, Acosta wrote and edited stories for wire agencies while based and working for a newspaper in Western Pacific. Acosta also founded and edited the defunct Intellectual Property Rights Review, or IPR Review, the first newspaper in the world of intellectual property rights that was hailed by worldwide IPR advocates.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine government and its partners have so far distributed 275 million pesos worth of assistance to families severely affected by two typhoons that also enhanced the southwest monsoon, bringing a significant amount of rainfall for over 2 weeks. Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD, Social Welfare Director Michael Christopher Mathay said on Saturday, the humanitarian aid is a mix of contributions from the agency, local government units, non-government organizations, and other partners. Mathay said the agency has provided emergency cash transfers to allow the most affected families to buy necessities, including medicines. A Cash for Work initiative has also been implemented. Meanwhile, DSWD has around 2.2 billion pesos worth of available quick Quick Response Fund and relief resources, including food and non-food items such as family food packs, kitchen, hygiene and sleeping kits, and clothing. Matay said more than 5,000 villages in Ilocos, Cagayan Valley, Central Luzon, Calabarzon, Mimaropa, Bicol, Western, Eastern, and Central Visayas, Davao Region, Soc-Sargen, and Cordillera have so far received humanitarian assistance. The agency is likewise providing psychosocial support to persons and families in different evacuation centers under the DSWD's Management Camp Coordination Program.
Dateline Malacañang.
And finally, the Philippines positivity rate, or the number of people testing positive for the coronavirus disease 2019 or COVID-19 has slightly decreased to 3.5% as of the 4th of August. Octa Research Group Fellow Dr. Guido David noted a 0.4% decline from last week's or July 29th 3.9%. David said that the Department of Health, or DOH, reported 154 new cases, 4 deaths, 281 recoveries. About 29 of the new cases are from the National Capital Region, or NCR. To date, the country's overall tally of COVID-19 infections has reached 4,173,631 with 3,832 active cases. The total number of COVID-19 deaths stands at 66,626. The DOH's latest biosurveillance report showed 767 samples were sequenced on July 26 to August 1st by the Philippine Genome Center. It logged that 84% of the cases were XBB types. David said XBB 2.3 acros was most prevalent and 30% followed by XBB 1.16 or Arcturus at 24%. The two were followed by XBB.1.9.1 or Hyperion at 18% or 140 cases, XBB.1.5 at 5% or 41 cases, and BA.2.3.20 at 5% or 35 cases. In the meantime, the remaining 7% or 90 cases were other types of XBB.
Dateline Malacañang.
Before we conclude our program, we would like to invite everyone to come and visit our Facebook page at Radyo Pilipinas World Service. You will be able to hear and view our Filipino and English programs, including news updates here in the Philippines. Kindly subscribe, like, and share our posts as well. And that concludes this edition of Dateline Malacañang. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this is Leo Magpayo. Good day and stay safe.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.